Okay, hi, welcome again, everybody. I'm so excited to see you all here. We have a lot of familiar faces, but some new ones too. So for anybody who doesn't know me already, my name is Kelly. I'm Culikid's executive director, and Culikid is a nonprofit that's based in New York City that also provides healthy culinary programs for people of all abilities. So our programs teach cooking skills, but also healthy habits and social independence and motor skills. Our class today, we're gonna give ourselves a treat, not really focus so much on the healthy food, but everything in moderation is okay. So we're gonna have some treats today for Valentine's Day. So as I mentioned, the class is being recorded, so that way people who can't join us can follow along at their own pace and time. If you don't want to be in the recording, you can turn your camera off, and we'll also take some screenshots during class. So same if you don't want to be in pictures. It's a lot easier for us to see what's going on if you do have your camera on, so we can keep pace with everybody. But do whatever you are most comfortable with. Everyone is muted, but you can use the chat to communicate, and you can also unmute yourself if you have a question or anything to say. So if you want to practice using the chat, you can try typing in it now. Just say where your name and where you're from. And if you want to share your favorite Valentine's Day food, you can do that. So I'm going to start us off there, and everybody can get started getting to know each other in the chat. And then the other thing is we do have a lot of people. So how we keep pace with the class is I'll ask if everybody gives a thumbs up for the next step. That for when you've completed that and are ready to go. So I'm going to go based off the people who are on screen. If I miss anybody who I either don't see your faces or you don't have your cameras on and you need us to slow down, just let us know that and we can repeat things and go over and wait for you. We don't want anybody to fall behind. Okay, last couple of things. Our next virtual class is going to be on March 4th. We're going to make chickpea salad sandwiches. It's like a vegan alternative to tuna salad sandwiches. And if you're cooking with somebody at home and you can take some pictures, we'd love for you to send them to us. So send them, tag us on social media. We love to see what's going on behind the scenes since we have such little screens in front of us. So I'll send a few links in the chat for you all. So that's to access our next class if you'd like to sign up, but that will be sent via email. And I also am going to send where you can send your photos. Okay, thanks everybody for chiming in the chat. Oh, we got people all over. I love to see it. We've got Canada, Fort Worth, New York City, Atlanta, more Canada, Vermont. Oh, look at you guys. England, people are all over. I see lots of chocolate favorites. Hi, everybody. We're excited to see you all. Virginia Beach, Massachusetts. I love it. Everybody's from everywhere. Okay, so before we get started, I want to ask a couple of questions. In the recipe for crushing our Oreos, we could use a food processor or we could use an old-fashioned bag and rolling pins. So can you raise your hand if you're using a food processor? Okay, it looks like it might be half and half. So let's raise your hand if you're going to be using a bag and rolling pin. Okay, okay. So I'm going to show you all with the bag and rolling pin because that's going to take a little bit longer, but I'll talk you through the food processor. And then for mixing, we can mix our ingredients by hand, or we can use an electric mixer, or a stand mixer also works. Who is going to be using an electric mixer? Raise your hand. Okay, looks like we might be half and half again. Who's going to do by hand? Raise your hand. Okay, looks like we're fairly split. Okay, so I can show you both of those things as well. All right, we're going to start off with our Oreo truffles today. And then while they're kind of chilling, we'll make our hot chocolate. Then we'll come back and decorate our truffles. So first thing we need to do is grab our Oreos. Okay, So I'm going to demo like half of a typical Oreo container. So if you have a standard size, I think it's like 14 ounces. You want to do half of that. If you want a lot of truffles, make the whole thing. Okay. So the half recipe that I'm demoing today makes about 16 truffles. If you don't have a standard size Oreo container, mine is a party size. I used about 23 to 24 Oreos. Okay. So if you need to count them out, you can count them out. So we're looking for about 23 to 24. A little more, a little less is okay. So I'm going to put mine right into my plastic bag. If you're using a food processor, go ahead and put it right into your food processor. Okay. So for me, mine was a sleeve and a half. So I know I don't need to fully count mine out because I have that already set. Oh, I see that there's a question in the chat about this. So if you've processed them already, so I think I answered the first part of your question. We're looking to do about 24 Oreos. If you've already processed it and you want to do half the recipe, you can just eyeball that and take out half of your mix and keep half of your mix for mixing in your cream cheese. Sanskriti, do you have a question too?
So I was just asking, we are adding like 24, right?
Yes. So you're either adding it to a plastic bag or to a food processor.
We're using mocha cookies this time, so.
Great. Yeah. So anything alternatives is great too. Chocolate cookies. So anybody who signed up before like the beginning of the week has received the recipe already in their email. And then if you signed up after that, or even if you didn't, I'll be resending them on Monday. Yeah, same amount for double stuffed. You'll just get double the filling, which is always good. Oops. Okay, is everybody ready to start crushing? Thumbs up if you're ready. Okay, great. Looks like a lot of people are. I'm going to move on. Ooh, Josh is using chocolate-filled Oreos. That's going to be super chocolatey and delicious. All right, so let me put this down for you. So you can start crushing them a little bit by hand if you want to kind of break them up. You do want them to be as small as possible. People in the food processor, go ahead and just process that until you have fine crumbs. You want them to be very small. So you'll probably be done and waiting for a little while. Okay, I'm going to start with my rolling pin. So you can start by just crushing it and so we're getting them from whole cookies to little pieces. And then once we kind of have crumbs, we'll be able to do some rolling over this and get them into super tiny pieces. Okay, so I'm kind of like mixing it up, go back and forth and using your hands. You could also use something like a pot, like you could kind of smash it like this, as long as you're being careful not to like smash your countertop too. Okay, so it's a little hard to see through the bag, but you can maybe see into it. We still have some pretty big crumbs. I'm trying to line that up. We want them to be like, I still have pieces like this. We want them to be really, really small. We want it to almost be like, really as close to like a sand consistency as we can. Okay, get back in here. The other thing I didn't say explicitly, which I should have, is that we want to close our bag, right? You can do it open if you're being really careful, but so that way it doesn't spill out. And you also are going to have better results if you get all that extra air out of it.
Kelly, it looks like we have another question from Sanskriti.
Yes, please. What's your question?
So I just wanted to ask, is like this size good now?
You want to go smaller if you can. So
Okay.
you want it to be like really crumbs.
Okay.
Okay. So,
My
you know, if you have the, yeah, it's going to take a little while. So in my bag, I still have sizes like that too. I'm going to try to see if I can show you what we're looking for. Ideally, as much as possible, you get them small, like these crumbs here. I think we're gonna inevitably end up with some that are this size if we're not processing them in the food processor, but try to get those bigger ones. And you can even get in there with your hands if you want to get really dirty, which I just did. So give me a second. Okay, I'm assuming everybody with a food processor is done. How's everybody doing who's rolling? I guess let me ask it this way. Who's still working on this like me? Yeah, some people are still working. Great. Okay. Just want to make sure that I'm not the only one. All right. So keep crushing away. Anybody who uses a food processor, you can get your crumbs out of there and into a bowl. You have to be careful of that blade. So if you want to take some time and carefully pour that into a large mixing bowl, you can do that now. Okay, I think that I'm ending up with a lot of big crumbs because I kind of have it spread out. So what I'm going to try to do, which you might want to try, is like I made sure my bag is sealed and I'm going to flatten it out as much as I can. Okay, and then do it again. Giving me a little bit of a workout over here, working up a sweat. Okay, I know I still have some larger crumbs, but I think mine might be as good as we're going to get right now. I'm going to open this up and show you. Okay, so we kind of have a mixed bag here, literally. Okay, so for mine, I am still ending up with some that are on the bigger side, but I have a lot that are this really fine crumbs. So I'm going to call this a day and, you know, just accept that I'm going to have some larger pieces of Oreo in there. It's not going to do anything except have a crunchier consistency. It's still going to taste yummy. So I'm going to dump mine into my bag. I mean, from my bag into my bowl. And try to get all that out of there because I have some stuck to the side. So I'm going to put it inside out. Yes, do you have another question?
Should we put them in the mixer or just in a separate bowl?
If you are mixing them, put them in the bowl you're going to use for your mixer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, great question. If you're using a stand mixer, you can put them in there. Those look good. I can't see what your name is off because my hands are dirty, but those look good. Okay, and as I'm looking at mine in the bowl, I see some that are like, ooh, that's a big one. So I'm gonna just crush it up with my hands, and I still have some of those medium-sized crumbs, and that's all fine. Okay, I'm gonna throw out my bag, wash my hands, and then check in with you all, see if and when we're ready for the next step. Okay. Who is ready? Thumbs up if you're ready for the next step. I see a lot. Does anybody need me to give them more time? We'll do a hands up if you need more time. I don't see any. No, I think we might be good. Again, stop me if you need me to slow down, but we're gonna move on to adding our cream cheese. Okay, so let's open up our block of cream cheese. So I've already made this, so I already have this halved. Most of you are gonna have an 8-ounce block of cream cheese. You might have a tub that you need to scoop out. If it's 8 ounces, you just need to cut it in half. And if you're scooping, because we're looking for 4 ounces, let's start there. We're looking for 4 ounces, right? So 4 ounces is half a cup. So if you're scooping, that's how much you need. And cut your block in half if you need to, and put that 4 ounces in. And yes, somebody caught my dog in the background trying to eat up all my crumbs. That's my dog, Scarlet. She's hanging out today. Yeah, I said your name. All right, come on.
Hi, Kelly, we have a question.
Did
Yes, please.
Scoop was in Hawaii? Yes or no?
No, that wasn't the question. He thought some people might be in Hawaii. If we did the 24 Oreos, does that use the 8 ounces of cream cheese?
It's the 4 ounces.
4 ounces, okay.
Yes.
And Joshua is very curious if anyone is in Hawaii.
Oh, that sounds like a lovely place to be. Is anybody in Hawaii? I don't see anybody saying so. No. It sounds like it would be nice and warm there though. Okay, so we should have our 4 ounces of cream cheese in with our crushed Oreos, and we are going to mix them. So I'm going to start off by hand and show you. So this has been, my cream cheese has been out for about 3 hours. So it's soft, but it's still like a little bit tricky to mix around, right? So I'm kind of using the back of this wooden spoon. It's good to use a sturdy spoon, right? So like a rubber spatula is like a little bit harder. And we're just gonna have to, be patient and work our magic. We're gonna try to get all of our Oreos in there. And I'm really just trying to like crush down this cream cheese rather than kind of starting by mixing it, right? And then what you could do is you could get in there with your hands. If you don't mind hands, we can get in there and act like we're making some meatballs or something. Okay. If you're mixing with an electric mixer, go ahead and just give that a mix. So if you have a stand mixer, turn that on. It should only take a minute or so, or maybe even less with an electric mixer. If you're using your hand mixer, make sure you're just moving it around and getting the whole bowl. Okay, so you can kind of see, I don't know if you can actually see. You see like the white part is where my cream cheese is. I still have all this dry Oreo. So I'm gonna get in here with my hands. Okay. So Yes, I referenced making meatballs because this is how I would make meatballs. Some people might use meatballs because this is how I would make meatballs. Some people might use utensils, but I can't make meatballs without just mixing it with my hands. So that's what I always think of when I'm getting dirty with my hands. Okay, so I am able to bring all of my breadcrumbs into my cream cheese and get this all mixed up together. Okay. Oh, you know what else? I'm sorry, I forgot about our vanilla extract. If you want to, you can add half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. If you have dirty hands like me, you can skip it. I will add some and then just clean up my mess later. So, wherever you are in your mixing stage, you can add a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, so we just measure that right over the bowl and pour it in. Sorry about that. I was too excited to get my hands dirty. Okay. So you see my mixture has all come together. It's like all stiff now where I could like pick up it did fall apart a little bit, but I can like pick it up. That's what we want. We want it to all come together, be a little bit like firm. And if you have dirty hands like me, go ahead and wash those hands.
Was that vanilla extract you added in?
Yeah, half a teaspoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It will still taste good without it. So if anybody wants to skip that, they don't have it, or they feel I've already mixed mine, you can skip it if you want to. All right, so I'm gonna just tidy up my station a little bit. We always like to work clean. Let's see. How are we doing? Thumbs up if you are done mixing. Thumbs up if you are done. Okay. I see some. I think I see most. Joshy, did you finish mixing? You're still mixing. Thumbs up if you're done. You're done? Okay, I think everybody's ready. So I'm gonna move on. Okay, so we're gonna start scooping. So I love a cookie scoop. Makes it very easy. So if you have one, you're just gonna scoop it and then this will release it. It seems really wet. What can we do? Do you have any more Oreos? I'm not sure who I don't see you on the screen. I just see you in the chat. So if you have more Oreos, you can crush some more up and add them to it. Fudge. The other thing is that, like, can I see it? I'm not sure where your screen is. Do you mind turning on your camera so I can see it? Because what we're gonna do is this you? Yeah, okay, I see you. Shadney. I actually can't see it very well. Can you tilt your camera down or bring it up?
So I'm
Because
trying to, I hid
yeah.
myself, so now I can't find, don't hide. Where am I? I don't know where I am, sorry.
That's okay. I see you. I
Um,
saw about half your bowl. So if you lift it up a little bit more. You know, it's like a little dark. What can you like show me it like with your hands, like
Just looks a
like
little
that?
fudgy.
It still is like holding its shape. I think that's okay. I think it's okay. Like
Okay.
Mine is pretty, so what we're gonna do after we form them into truffles is put them in the freezer. So as
Okay.
long as they're not so tacky that you can't form them into balls. So like mine is like a little, like it's soft, but as
That's
long
what's
as it can
happening.
hold, as long as it can hold its shape.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Right.
awesome.
Yep.
And then the scoop, mine is about, I think it's like about a tablespoon and a half, maybe 2 tablespoons. So they don't all have to be the same size because they are not being baked, so we don't have to worry about the exact size. You can make them different. Mine actually, it looks like a table, like I would say actually based on what I just showed, I think it's like about a tablespoon and a quarter. So you can also scoop them with a tablespoon. And then the tricky part is just getting it out, and then you'd shape it into a ball from there. Okay. So you can use that, or you can just use a spoon, a regular spoon, and try to just eyeball the right size, the same size. And again, they're not baking, so it's okay if they don't all match perfectly. So with our cookie scoop though, we're going to scoop it against the bowl so that way we kind of get off all that extra, put it into our hand and just like form it into slightly more of a ball, right? So an ice cream scoop might be a tad big, but if you want big truffles, you could use that. So the difference between a cookie scoop is just the size. So I'll show you the size that's in my palm. So it's like, it's smaller than a typical ice cream scoop. But this is all about however you want to eat these. The things about truffles is they can be a little bit rich. So that's why you tend to make them on the smaller side. This is not like your classic truffle. That's just like basically melted chocolate. So however you want to eat it is fine. You want it big, you want it a little bit smaller. And as I was mentioning earlier, we are going to put these into the freezer. Okay, so it's okay if it's a little bit soft and it feels like, well, that's not going to stick together if I put that in melted chocolate, which is going to be our final steps. But we're going to freeze them so they'll stiffen up, so that way it'll make it easier to decorate. Okay, and yes, question, Sanskriti.
Do you want us to put them on like a parchment paper tray, or is a plate fine?
A plate is fine. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for asking that. I do have mine with parchment paper because I'm going to use the same one later. So you definitely want your parchment paper when you are putting chocolate on it. But mine were fine in a regular plate. So thank you for bringing that up. So I just have a tray with some parchment paper. You could put them not lined right now if you've already started. Thank you. Okay, and I think obviously everybody's already made their adaptations if they needed to, but you know, for dairy-free folks, you know, dairy-free cream cheese, gluten-free folks go for a gluten-free cookie. So yeah, and then the only other thing you want to think about if you're dairy-free is your chocolate that we're coating it in. So make sure your chocolate is dairy-free, or you can decorate it a different way without chocolate if you'd like.
Kelly, how would these be with like the golden Oreos and maybe like white chocolate? Do you think that would be a good
Ooh, yeah, I do
Our
think that would be
dogs want
good.
Yeah, let's say our dogs want to help, and so I thought that might be an alternative.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. I personally really like golden Oreos. Of course, you're not going to have like that chocolatey filling, but I think that filling would be very delicious on its own. Great call. And then yeah, you could also do like Oreos have, speaking of all the different Oreos, I know Joshy said they're using chocolate filled Oreos. You could do mint filled Oreos. I don't know how many flavors they have at this point, but you can mix it up and get all those flavors in there, definitely. Mm. Great, I am almost done. I think I have about 2 more left. All right, so maybe I made mine a little bit smaller this time. I think I ended up with 18 from this batch. Okay, so I've got mine all lined up. Go ahead and wash your hands before you do anything. And then when you are done and ready, pop those into the freezer, okay? Okay, so get mine in here. Okay. And some people still working on their truffles. I see some people who look like they're done. I'm gonna give you a few more minutes before I check in and see how we're going. If you are done with that step, go ahead and just clean up your station a little bit. We will still need our chocolate that we're gonna cover it in. And then we will need to switch gears to our hot chocolate. So again, still take your time if you're working on truffles. But anybody who is ready, especially if you might need to reposition to get over by the stove, go ahead and start thinking about your setup for your hot chocolate. And I'm thinking that based on the time right now that we will probably finish our hot chocolate at the end of the hour, but we will probably need some extra time to decorate our truffles. So if you have a hard stop at 12, I'm just putting out there that I do think we will go past 12 a little bit. So just think about where you need to stop. You might need to do the decorating separately, but I can also answer questions about that while we're doing some other stuff. And the reason we're putting our truffles in the freezer, right, is to get them to firm up because we're going to coat them in chocolate. And then the good thing about that is that when we do coat them in chocolate, they set very fast. The frozen truffles will set the chocolate, so you don't have to also then set your chocolate and wait a long time for to be able to eat them. Okay, I think I see who's still working. Can you guys give me a hands up if you're still working on truffles? Okay, yeah, I think that's who I thought I was looking at. No worries, keep going. Okay, I'm gonna give us another minute and then I'm gonna ask the people who are, yes, put it in the freezer now. Thank you for that question. Oh, I see. Oh, somebody is doing the full batch. Okay, thank you for letting us know that. I'm gonna ask that if you're not done in the next minute to put your truffle batter or dough, whatever we want to call it, like in the fridge that hasn't been rolled, and then put your rolled truffles into the freezer, just so we can get to our hot chocolate too. Okay, so, okay, I see a couple of questions. Oh, I think I already answered that. Yeah, so as soon as you're done rolling them, they're on a plate, they're on a tray, put those in the freezer. And somebody asked what recipe our next session will be. Our next one will be March 4th, and we're going to be making a chickpea salad sandwich. So that's like a veggie alternative to or like a plant-based rather alternative to a tuna salad sandwich. So we're switching gears. We do that. We do some treats, especially around holidays, but then we try to get some healthy stuff in there too, especially that can meet a lot of different dietary restrictions. And then after that, we haven't planned them yet, but we do have them once a month. Okay, so let's pause now if you haven't finished your truffles. So wherever you are, put your made truffles into the freezer and put the rest of your truffle mix into the fridge. So then when we finish up, you'll be able to finish scooping those. And then we're going to reposition ourselves over by our stove. I have a saucepan on the stove. It's like medium sized. We just need to fit 3 cups of milk in here. I'm going to reposition you guys too. I need a little bit more room. Okay, I'm going to start talking us through the next step because I'm going to demo it several times, and so I'll go slow, but so people can get started. Don't feel rushed. I'm going to say this several times. We're going to start by measuring our milk. We need 3 cups. Okay, 3 cups of milk. If you have a choice between whole and skim milk, whole milk is a little bit better of a choice. Just for, you know, the richness and all of that, but skim milk is totally fine. And then so is dairy free. Okay, so whatever milk you're using, 3 cups. All right, I'm using a liquid measuring cup, so I'm looking for my 1 cup line. Mine is only 1 cup large, so if you have a bigger one, you can do more at once. And then I get down to eye level to make sure that I am right at the line. This needs to be a little bit less perfect than other things, right? Because if you do a little bit over, you'll just have a little bit more milk. If you do a little under, same thing. And then I'm pouring it into the pot. Okay. Whoops, fell off my stand. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're doing that 3 times. I'm going a little bit slow because I know people were at different spots. So 3 cups of milk into the pot. It's not on yet, but I have it on the stove. That's just where it is. It doesn't need to be on just yet. Okay. So this is my second one. And I'm pouring it into the pot. And my last one, 3rd cup. Okay, so 3 cups in our saucepan. We can get that turned on. Does anybody, oh, I see somebody pouring milk. So I'll just wait 1 second. Okay, all right, it looks like everybody's ready. Does anybody need more time? Okay, I think, yes, okay. No problem.
Hi, we're making chocolates.
Hello, do you have a question? Okay. All right, so let's get this going then. So I'm going to turn on my heat to medium, medium low. Okay, so I'm like just under medium. So we don't want our milk to actually boil. We just want to heat it up. So we have that going. It needs to cook for a little bit, but in the meantime, we're going to measure out our chocolate. Okay, so we are doing white chocolate if we're dyeing it pink. If you want to, you can do this with other chocolate as well. I actually forgot to get my food coloring down. So you can use food coloring to dye it pink. You can use natural coloring, but we're going to measure out 1.5 cups of chips while our milk is heating up. Okay, so let me again position you. You can see.
Do we use chocolate chips or white chocolate chips?
So you can use whatever you think you want to drink the most. I'm using white chocolate chips because I'm going to turn mine pink. So it won't turn pink if you use milk or dark chocolate chips. But if you don't care about it being pink and you'd rather have a different chocolate, then you can use a different chocolate. Does that make sense? Okay. And yes, 1.5 cups of chips. And I am struggling to open this for some reason. So we will cut it. Okay, so they're not like perfectly even. Well, they are pretty. I thought that was heaping. It's like doesn't have to be exact. You want it to be close. 1.5 chips ready to go. If you'd rather pour it into a larger bowl that you can pour from, that's fine. Or you can pour directly from those cups in there. I know we're multitasking a little bit, but if you have poured those, we're just going to give our milk a stir. We don't want it to burn on the bottom, but I also noticed when I did it earlier, if I didn't mix it, it kind of like created a sheet on the top and it was hard to tell when it was steaming. So what we're looking for is our milk to be steaming, and we're going to only see that really well if we stir it every so often. Okay. Okay, we went through those steps kind of quick, so I'm just going to make sure we're good. We got 3 cups of milk on the stove on medium low heat. We have also measured out 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. Use white chocolate if you're going to dye yours pink, or if you prefer white chocolate, use another chocolate if you want a different chocolate. And we're mixing our milk every so often. Okay. I feel mine is getting warm and still looking for some steam before we can get the chocolate melting. I'm thinking also about what I'm going to put on my hot chocolate. I'm going to deck out my hot chocolate. I've got whipped cream and mini marshmallows and Valentine's Day sprinkles. I see somebody's got whipped cream. I see, yep, Kristen, you got some whipped cream ready. What else are we decorating our hot chocolates with? Does anybody want to share?
That's neon pink food
I see.
coloring.
Oh, I didn't know it was so special. You're gonna have cool hot chocolate, Joshy. And I see someone else has got their whipped cream ready, Tasha. Nice. And also food coloring. Okay, milk is getting there. If yours is steaming, is anybody's milk steaming yet before mine is? No, not yet. Okay, so we know what we're looking for, right? We want to see some actual some steam coming off of the pot. I feel the heat, but not the steam, so I think we're really close. Oh, I haven't heard of that. Shandini said they didn't have white chocolate chips, so they got cream cheese flavored chips. That's very interesting. I don't know. I've never had those before. If they're not that sweet, you might want to add some sugar too. So it's up to your flavor profile though, and how you like it. Good. Okay, great. Oh, awesome. I see these like mini little vanilla marshmallows. Very cool. From Kay, yeah, and Melissa. Is that M&M tomorrow? Very cool. Okay, everybody's got something. And I see something colorful from Nice Natasha, or is it Nice? Okay, sprinkles.
They're
The
heart
candies?
sprinkles.
Heart sprinkles, very cool. Mine are heart sprinkles too. I have just red, pink, and white.
That's nice.
Thank you. Okay, more, what is that? Sprinkles too? Yeah, okay. I see a lot of sprinkles now. I see a lot of people showing off their sprinkles. A lot of very festive ones. Okay, don't forget to mix your milk. I'm still looking for that steam. I think we're very close though. Oh, I see it actually. So I got down, I can see some steam coming off my pot. So if you have that too, we're gonna add about half of our chocolate chips, okay? So it doesn't have to be exact because I know we have a cup and a half and dividing that in half, we have to do 3/4. How do we eyeball that? Just pour most of your cup. Okay, it's not detrimental if it's not exactly half or anything. So just pour out half to most of your cup, but be very careful because like I just did, I just splashed on myself and the milk is hot, right? So I'm gonna take like a handful and like carefully drop it in. You can also use a spoon if you want to have a little bit of distance from this splashy milk. Oh. Okay, and then I'm going to use my whisk to mix that around and make sure it fully melts. And you can kind of feel it. So if you're mixing, you kind of feel that there's some resistance when you have the chocolate that you're going through. And slowly it gets easier and easier to mix, right? It feels more like we're mixing in liquid. But, okay, let me move you a little bit closer. I just lifted up my whisk and I have chocolate in it. So I'm going to try to get that out. And so that's another way to test is lift up your whisk and see if you have chocolate on it. So I still need to keep going. You could also use a regular spoon. I like doing this with a whisk because I can feel out the chocolate a little bit better in my personal opinion, but okay. And I have like a little bit of chocolate hanging out here, but it's mostly good. So I'm going to add the rest of my chocolate chips. Okay, so I dumped in the rest of my 1 cup and half cup is in as well. So, because I just added more, I still have some chocolate left in the bottom. Make sure you're whisking slow so you don't splash it. If you have to whisk like kind of fast and doing like little circles, right? So if I did this big circles, I might splash some of my milk out, make a mess, maybe even burn myself. So make sure you're being careful. And mine is just staying still. But the other thing you want to keep in mind is if you need to make sure your pot isn't going anywhere, to be holding onto that handle with your non-mixing hand, as long as it didn't get hot over the stove, right? Okay, mine looks like it's coming up clean. I feel like I'm just mixing liquid, and I pull up my whisk and there's hardly anything on it. So I'm very close to being done mixing in my chocolate. Okay, that looks pretty good. Clean whisk. All right, so that's how we know we've been incorporated. Okay, who is done mixing in their chocolate? Thumbs up if you are done. Okay. I'm seeing a lot. I think that was everybody. We're going to keep on going. So we're going to add, we can turn off our heat. Okay, so heat is off. Can keep that on the stove to keep cooking, to keep just to keep stirring the rest of the stuff in. It doesn't need to keep cooking. Sorry, spoke. All right, so we need to add 3 things to this hot chocolate. One is going to be a pinch of salt. So yes, salt. We like to balance out the sweetness, bring out some of that flavor. So I like to for a pinch of salt, I like to grab it actually. So if you don't have it in a little container, you can pour some into your hand. And for a pinch, we're going to use these 3 fingers. Okay, so thumb and 1 and 2, and put them together and take a pinch out of your hand and sprinkle it into your pot. Okay, that should be good, but I like a little sweet and salty, so I'm going to add a second pinch. Okay, and then if you had any in your hand, just brush it off. If you had it in the container, then just put it away. Okay. Next is our vanilla extract again. Whoops, I forgot we were using that again. Oh, stop. Sorry, puppy is trying to eat some chocolate crumbs, which are not for puppies. Sorry about that. Yes, heat can be off now. All right, so half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. In we go. Okay, and then pour that in. We can give this a mix. And then the last thing is going to be dyeing our mixture pink. Okay. If you have like a typical food coloring like this, I used about 3 to 4 drops. So you want to start on the small side, and you can add in. Yep, that looks similar to mine too, Ella. The only thing that I'm not sure about is the gel, right? I think gel, if anybody's using gel, that might be a little bit more concentrated. Anyway, the point is the same for all of it. Start on the small side and you can always add more. So we can even see the difference. We can go drop by drop if we want to. So I just did 1 drop. So I'm on 1. I'm going to mix it in and see what we do. Okay. And it's so light that I don't think you can even see it on the screen. I can see it's slightly pink, but not very. So that was 1. I'm going to go ahead and do 2. Okay, now I think you kind of see it. Still pretty light. So I'm going to do 3. Whoop, that was a big one. 3 should be enough. If I can get this off. Right, but it depends on how dark you want it. So it still actually looks really light on the screen, but mine is starting to be a very light shade of pink. Part of it, I think, is because I have the there's like a little bit of bubbles on the top. So it could be a little bit darker. So I'm going to do a 4th drop. It all depends on how much you want it. Maybe you want it really, really, really slightly pink. This is finally getting there, I think, for me. Okay. I know it's tricky to show things on the stove, but if anybody wants to show, if anybody can or wants to show theirs, go ahead. The Anvi is bringing us over. Okay, looks great. Very nice. And Sanskriti and I see another name, Yug, or is it Yug?
Yolk.
Yug. It looks
Yeah,
great, very
yep.
pink. And I see somebody below you, Kristen, yours is very pink. Nice. So I see we have a lot of different shades, and Mike too. So it all depends on what we want to do. Okay, great. All right, so if you we're going to do our truffles next, but I know that my hands are going to be a mess, so I want to show you this first. It's up to you if you want to decorate your hot chocolate now, and you can drink it while we decorate. Decorating might get a little messy. So I'm going to just show you my decoration. Here's my ladle. Okay, so I got my heat-proof cup, mug, right? And I'm going to scoop it out carefully with a ladle. Pour it in. 2 scoops, 2.5. Well, I want you to be able to see my decorations. Okay. So you can do anything you want. If you're doing your marshmallows, you can put those in there. I think for sprinkles, it works best if you start with some whipped cream. I'm going to start with whipped cream. You always want to shake up your can. And then we're going to just slowly push this and go around in a little circle. Okay, let me do that. I'm going to take my sprinkles and sprinkle them on top. Okay, that is some festive hot chocolate. And because I like marshmallows in my hot chocolate too, I'm going to put some of those too. Okay, now be careful because obviously it's very hot. You can see that's my decked out Valentine's Day hot chocolate. You again can wait, or you can do that now. But we are going to move on to our truffles so we can keep on keeping on. Okay.
Kelly, I think we got another question from Sanskriti.
Yes.
So if we wait, won't the chocolate like sit? Is there anything we can do to stop it from sitting? Or will it be fine because it's mixed in?
It depends on how long you're going to wait. So we can check in on it again at the end, but you might need to just like heat it up a little bit right before you pour.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, great question. Because yeah, if you let melted chocolate sit, it will typically harden. The balance of the amount of chocolate to the milk will keep it a liquid, but if you need to just liven it up and heat it back up again, you can just give it a little heat. And I see Kristen's here is in a clear glass, which is fantastic. It looks, you can see the pink right through. It looks great. So great job, everybody. All right. Let's keep going for our truffles. And I'm going to probably just show you a few so that way anybody who needs to go can, and you can finish them up on your own. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure out, whoops, I thought that was a cup. We're going to measure out a cup of chocolate. Okay, I initially told you white chocolate. And then I decided that I was going to do mine in a different chocolate. So it's whatever chocolate you want. Okay. But we're going to start with a cup and we're going to need a heat proof bowl if you have a microwave. Okay. Does anybody not have a microwave and need to do this on the stove? Yes. Okay. At least one. So I'm going to tell you how to do that. So you're going to use a double boiler method, which I will explain what it means. One is you might have a double boiler, but you might not. A double boiler is a pot that goes on top of another pot. The idea is that you're putting water in this bottom one. You're going to heat it up till boiling, and you're going to put the stuff that needs to melt in the top part. If you do not have an actual double boiler that sits in each other like this, you can use any heat proof bowl that will sit snugly on top of this. So this is not an example because this is plastic, but if this was metal or glass, you could just stick that right on top and it will work the same. Okay. Anybody who needs that information, that's people who are not doing this in a microwave and who needs me to repeat anything, let me know. Any questions on that? So anybody who's doing that, get your water in your bottom pot, get that boiling, and you're gonna melt your chocolate on top, okay? So let me know if you have questions as you go. Everybody else, cup of chocolate in the bowl. And the other thing is that I had initially sent you a recipe with coconut oil to help melt it. That failed for me with my first try at the white chocolate, but I actually think it was because my white chocolate was old. Okay, so I'm not sure if it was the oil or the white chocolate just like not working out in the microwave. But the point is that I've done it without the coconut oil and it works fine. It's just a little bit thicker and it might not be quite as neat, but it's still fine. So you can add a tablespoon or, I'm sorry, is it a tablespoon or half a tablespoon? It is, whoops, I think I actually took it out of here. You can add like half a tablespoon of coconut oil to the chocolate if you want to, but you can also just do it by itself. Okay. So I just have a cup of chocolate chips in here and I'm going to put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. We always want to do our chocolate in the microwave at intervals, meaning you should remind that the measuring cups must be dry. Yes, if you have wet measuring cups, things will stick to the inside, but that's okay. We can get them out. You can use any kind of chocolate. So initially I had sent a recipe that said white chocolate, but I'm choosing to do semi-sweet chocolate because that's what I have and want to use. You could use dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate, any kind of chocolate you want. There's also a thing called candy melts. If anybody has those work the same way too. So anything you want. So we're doing 30 seconds. Just to get it started, you'll see that they're not melted, right? So we want to do it slowly. I'm going to give it a little mix. There's a little bit of meltedness going on. And then I'm going to do another 30 seconds. Okay, so we don't want to do like, it might take up to maybe like 2 minutes. We don't want to do those full 2 minutes at once because you might end up burning the outside of your chocolate and not melting the inside. So we do it a little bit at a time and mix in between. So that's for any of the chocolate. Okay, we're getting there. I'm almost getting liquid, but I can see that I'm still going to have some solid pieces in here. So I'm going to do another 15 or 20 seconds.
How much coconut oil do you put?
Half a tablespoon should be fine.
Okay.
And if you don't have a half a tablespoon measuring spoon, that would be a teaspoon and a half. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ooh, be careful taking those bowls out of the microwave though. Okay, let's see. So I am pretty liquid over here. Okay. Because I have a lot of truffles, that's going to take me a long time. I'm going to get started with showing you how we're going to decorate these. If anybody's melting chocolate still, go ahead because you can jump in whenever you can, because you'll be able to see all my truffles here. Okay. So, okay, so Tamara shared that helped melt their chocolate too, adding the coconut oil. So that melted it faster too. Great to know. Okay, so I'm gonna have my screen pointed down this whole time. I'm gonna get messy. If anybody has a question, Doug, let me know, but also feel free to just unmute yourselves. Okay, so now I got my frozen truffles. You see they're much firmer than before. I'm gonna use a fork because it's gonna help me a little bit. I'm gonna move these over so I kind of like don't make a mess on them. You wanna have parchment paper at this point, so that way it doesn't stick to it. And I'm gonna get my truffle into the chocolate and roll it around, cover it up. Okay, and then I scoop it out, right? So you have like a lot of extra chocolate going on. So that's kind of why we have the fork. We kind of want to let it get off of the edge. So this is why I'm like getting a little messy here. And then once I feel like I got most of my chocolate off, I'm going to put it down on to the parchment paper to let it set. So we're just going to start covering them like these. You know what, actually, once that I do this one, I'll show you. If you're doing any more decorations on top of this, you'll want to do that now because the chocolate will start setting. So this also, you can just end here if you want to, but I know a lot of people have some very decorative sprinkles. So let me wash my hands really quick. I'm gonna pour some of my festive sprinkles into a cup so I can easily access them. And then you can just sprinkle them on top. So you want to do this, if you want to do this part, you want to do it now because your chocolate is still soft, so it will stick to the chocolate. If you wait in between, if you wait to decorate all of your truffles, then your chocolate will harden and your sprinkles won't stick. Okay, so we're going to keep going. So adding the coconut oil, I think will also thin this out a little bit. So you'll have like probably a little bit neater. And then the other thing for people who didn't use the oil, or maybe it's for everybody, depends on how thick your chocolate goes on, is that you might end up not covering all of these truffles. I ended up with a few extra. So just melt more chocolate as needed, or you can try different things too. So we can try, oh, those are almost all white. Put some color in there. Okay, so I'm gonna put my truffle here that I'm gonna decorate, and I have a spoon with my chocolate. And instead of covering the whole thing, I'm gonna just drizzle it over the top. Okay, it doesn't have to be like perfectly neat. So you can try that, especially if people like aren't huge chocolate lovers. So you just have like a little bit of a design, and then we can also top with our sprinkles. Okay, I'm gonna do that again for this. So I'm just checking out my chocolate. I think my thinner ones are starting to set, but just keep in mind this chocolate will go back to a solid when, that's what I mean by set, right? So we want it to be back to a solid. So if it's not by the time that you finish your decorating your truffles, just throw them into the fridge until the chocolate finishes hardening. Okay, and we're just gonna keep going like this. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. I'm gonna do a couple of more. And then I'm gonna see if we can, if anybody wants to show their done truffles, and we can see if we can get a picture. Right. I'm gonna do 2 more. So I'm using my spoon to like cover it. We can roll it around in here. If you take a little bit of time and then your truffles start kind of falling apart in the chocolate, then just pop them back in the freezer. The other thing that you can do is if you have especially if you have multiple colored chocolates. So if you have some leftover white chocolate, you can melt that. And then after you cover them in your chocolate, if you're not already if you're doing what I'm doing, for example, with the dark chocolate. So if then I could take my white chocolate and also sprinkle that over, and you'd have like little fancy truffles with multiple colors. All right, I'm gonna pause here. I want to see if we can get a picture with everybody. So when I come back, I'm going to ask you if you can like hold yours up to the camera and smile so we can take a fun picture with everybody's truffles if you want to. And if you've had your camera off and want to be in this, then go ahead and turn your camera on. I'm going to hold mine up here. You see some of my lovely decorated truffles, but I also want to get my face in it. Nice job. I'm seeing some. So I'm going to take a few. I know that everybody's holding them up, but we're still waiting for some more people who are getting into frame. And if your face is in the camera, make sure to give us a smile. Okay. Oh, wait, I got one more. Looks great, everybody. Great job. Okay. So I
Can I show
No,
please. What is this? You felt show us. Great. Fantastic. Thank you for showing them. Everybody did an amazing job. So you see, I'm not quite done. I'm going to keep going. Some of them are also a little messier than others, but that's okay. Practice makes perfect. And even if it doesn't, they're still delicious. So I am going to let you finish decorating your truffles on your own. But before we do that, does anybody have any questions as you're finishing up? Okay, I don't see anybody, it looks like everybody's super hard at work. Fantastic job. I hope that you share these truffles with your friends and your family, and you can be super proud of all of that. And same with your hot chocolate. So I'm going to actually check in based on our question before. My hot chocolate just from sitting on the stove, still completely liquid, still fine. Could maybe get heated up just because it's cooled down a little bit if you want it to be hot when you're drinking it. Everybody enjoy your Valentine's Day, enjoy your treat, and hopefully we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.